Okay, looks like I am live, you guys. Once again, I'm so sorry I'm not here. Doggone it. You know, Hawaii was great. And then, bummer, but the school district wanted me to come to a meeting today to talk about math. So, here I am, recording the lesson, saying hi to you. So, first of all, you've got to get your interactive journals out. Go to page 53. And what I want you to do is we're going to take a look at these two problems. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually cut this out. And I'm going to go ahead and put this part, I'll show you where I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut out this section of my interactive journal, and I'll show you what we're doing, okay? So, I'm going to cut that out. I'm on page 53. Let's go to page 53, and if you need to pause the video at any time, please go ahead. So I'm going to go to page 53. I'm going to cut this out. Okay, I'm going to cut this section out right here. I'm going to tape it into my interactive journal. So go ahead. Okay, go ahead and do that. Okay, and I'm going to cut out page 53. I'm going to put it in my interactive journal. Okay, so I got that. I'm going to grab my journal, go ahead and pause anytime you want to pause, ask to substitute nicely. I'm going to put that right there in my interactive journal. Okay, there you go. Page 53, cut that out, tape that into my interactive journal, and we're talking about, okay? Alright. So what we're going to learn is a thing called trinomial factoring. And what factoring has to do with is undoing a FOIL problem. Okay? So, I'll let you get caught up. So anytime we do multiplication, what we're talking about is area of a rectangle. Okay? So real quickly, we're talking about in here, if I talk about area, I know it's length times width. Okay, we know that. So as a rectangle, just here's an example, simple example, right? If I've got a rectangle here, and the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the width is 2. Simple example, I know. Then the area is 5 times 2, which is 10 units squared. Because they are little square units. Look at that. They are actually squares. Okay. That's easy. You know that. That's no problem, okay? Now, what the heck does all this mean? Well, let's take a look, okay? So if I took a look, and these little plus signs are going to be x's. So let me write that down. These little plus signs, this little thing right here is an x. Okay. So then this big thing here is an x squared, because it's going to be x by x. So this is an x squared. Alright, so visually, let me show you what's going on. So this little thing here is an x, and these are all like little 1, 2, 3. These are all units. So these are units. These little ones are just units. Alright, we're not going to make this hard. I think you guys have seen this at middle school, okay? I can make this hard, okay? So, for us to make, so here's how it works. For us to make an x squared, we'd have to have an x times an x. Okay, to make the x squared, okay? And then what we've got is 1, 2, 3 of the units plus 3. And we've got is 1, 2 of the units plus 2. Alright, so let's check it out. If I were to take x plus 3 times x plus 2, and we did this in our warm-up as well as we've done this before. If we multiply this out, we'd have x times x is x squared, x times 2 is a 2x, 3 times x is a 3x, and 3 times 2 is a 6. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 is the same answer, that's what we're trying to get to, is the same answer as our x plus 3, x plus 2, okay? Alright? Let's look at step 3. Okay, step 3. Alright? So that's an x squared, right? So again, an x squared, we're going to have an x times an x. These are minus x's, okay? That's a minus x and a minus x, so we get a minus 1 going down here, minus 1, and we got a minus 2 going here, okay? Those are negative x's, so let's see how that works. So then we have an x minus 2, because remember it's length times width times an x minus 1. And if we're going to multiply these out, that times that, x squared, that's x times a negative 1 is a negative 1x, negative 2 times x, negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 1, okay? So we wind up with an x squared minus a 3x plus 1, so we're going to say that that is the same as my x minus 2 times x minus 1. Now, this is just a visual of it, so what we're going to do is take a look, and an easier way to do this. So pause the video and have the substitute pass out your notes, and we're talking about trinomial factoring, okay? Good. Okay. Pass out the notes, pause the video, and I'll be right back. Okay, I assume I'm back, so let's take a look at the objective today. So today's date, 2/26/2020, and my objective day is factoring trinomials. Okay, go ahead and write that down. Factoring trinomials. Okay? So, what are trinomials? Factoring trinomials are taking it from the opposite, so it's just the opposite of FOIL, or we used to call it double distribute. Double distribute. Okay, there's a trick. Okay? Okay, write this down. Super important, write this down. We want to factor. We are going to go parentheses, 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 okay? Because it's the opposite of the double distributive, okay? We're going to make this problem x squared minus 7x plus 12, which is a trinomial. We're going to make it look like it was a FOIL problem before we even started, okay? So how does it work? All right, on the side, we want the multiples. Write this down. We want the multiples of last number. Okay, write this down. We want the multiples of the last number. In this example, that's the 12. Okay, we want the multiples of the last number. Okay, and I'm going to add to this. Because I'll find a different color pen. Alright, I guess I'll use black. So we want the multiples of the last number. That's 12. So the multiples of 12. The multiples of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. But we want the multiples of the last number that add to the middle number. Okay? And I'm going to say this a bunch of times. Okay? And the middle number is the 7. Well, I think I've got it. I know that the multiples of 12 could be 1 times 12, could be 2 times 6, could be 3 times 4, or 4 times 3. If I went 1 plus 12 is a 13. That is not a 13. I know you already know the answer. 2 plus 6 is 8. That's not an 8. But 3 times 4, or 3 plus 4, is 7. So we want the multiples of this number that add up to the middle number. Well, that's obviously 3 and 4. So let's go ahead and do this. You ready? X squared. How do you make an x squared? X times x. Everybody agree with that? And then we're going to go plus 4 plus 3. We've got the multiples of the last number that add up to the middle number. That is how this works. Now, in our little rectangle, we could have done it as a chart. We'd have an x plus 4 and an x plus 3, which would make our x squared plus 3x's plus 4x's, and we'd get an x squared plus 7x's. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. We'd have 1, 2, 3, and then you'd have all these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're not going to do it this way. This really does represent x squared plus 4x plus 3, okay? Now, I'm making it way overcomplicated. Sorry about that. Let's go back to this. I'm going to highlight it, okay? Let's go back to this. I don't want to complicate. I want to make this easy, okay? Let's go back to this, okay? All right. We're going to take the multiples of the last number that add up to the middle number. Let's take a look at example 2. All right, example 2. I'm going to start off with parentheses, 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 okay? Do this always first. Parentheses, parentheses, no, nothing in between, parentheses, parentheses, okay? Pause the video if I'm getting too fast, okay? We will not do it this way, ever, again. But I want to show you how the book makes the visual, okay? So, how do we do this? Well, how do we make an x squared? X times x, okay? What are the multiples of negative 8? Well, I got a negative. So we could have a negative 8 times 1. We could have a negative 4 times 2. We could have wait a minute. We could have a positive 4 times a negative 2. We could have a positive 8 times a negative 1. But which one of these will make a positive 2? Which one will have a positive 2? That one right there will make a positive 2, okay? So, again, the multiples of the last number that add up to the middle number, okay? Positive 4, negative 2 will add up to make a positive 2. So I'm going to write this as x plus 4x minus 2. Okay, now, how do I know I have the answer, the right answer? I can check. So I go back, and if I wanted to check, I can multiply this times this is x squared. This times this is a minus 2x. This times this is a positive 4x. This times this is a negative 8. So if I wanted to check it, x times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is a negative 2x. 4 times x is a 4x. And then 4 times negative 2. And it does indeed make my original. So this is my factored answer. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Ready? I'm going to go start with parentheses, 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 parentheses. Okay? Just start there. And then we know the only way you can make an x squared is with an x times x. So always start with a trinomial factoring, parentheses, 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 and then x times x makes x squared. Okay, so what times what makes negative 24? That will add up to a positive 5. So take a minute and think about it. What times what makes a negative 24 that will add up to a positive 5? Okay, hopefully somebody's thinking, oh, gosh, Mr. Davies, isn't 8 times a negative 3, isn't that a good multiple? 8 times a negative 3 does make a negative 24, but when I add them together, I do get a positive 5. These are my combinations. So I want an x plus 8 and an x minus 3. That's it. That's my factored trinomial. Again, if you wanted to check your answer, you could. X squared minus 3x plus 8x minus 24. Okay? That's my factored trinomial. Okay, let's do it again. Example 4. Okay? So we're going to go start off again with parentheses, 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 okay? X and X. Always do that. Parentheses, 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 because we're making a double distribute problem. We're factoring. We're factoring, okay? X times X. Now, what times what makes negative 4? I'd like to think about it. What times what makes negative 4 that will add up to negative 3? What times what makes negative 4 that will add up to negative 3? Hopefully somebody said, hey, Mr. Davies, it's negative 4 times a positive 1. Well, yeah, because that combination, negative 4 times a positive 1, multiply to make a negative 4, but add to make the negative 3. So I'm going to have an x minus 4 and x plus 1. That is the factored answer. Okay? Are you ready? Turn the page. Okay. Example 5. Same thing. So for factoring, we are factoring. Start off with parentheses, 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 okay? Because it's a double distribute problem. It's undoing it. It's doing the opposite, okay? So then we have to make an x squared by multiplying. So the only way we can get an x squared is x times x. So start this, every problem out like this. Parentheses, 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 x and x. Now, what are the multiples of negative 9? Multiples of negative 9 that make a positive 8. Okay, think about it for a second. Hopefully you came up with, hey, Mr. Davies, how about a 9 times a negative 1? I would go, hey, that's a good answer. Because 9 times negative 1 does make a negative 9. I agree. But 9 plus a negative 1 makes a positive 8. So that's the combination. We need the multiples of the last number that add up to the middle number. Okay? So we're going to have an x plus 9 and x minus 1. That is the factored trinomial. Okay. Last one, example 6. Okay. So start off again. Parentheses, 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 parentheses. Okay. And the only way we're going to get an x squared is to go x and x, because x times x is x squared. All right? We need the multiples of the last number. We need the multiples of 9. What times what makes 9? That add up to negative 6. So I'll let you think about it. What times what makes a positive 9? What times what makes a positive 9 that add up to a negative 6? Okay? Hopefully somebody's going to say, hey, Mr. Davies, isn't that negative 3 times negative 3? I'll say, yeah, negative times negative does make a positive. So negative 3 times negative 3 makes a positive 9, but when I add them together, I get a negative 6. So my answer, my factored answer is x minus 3 and another x minus 3. That is my factored answer. Okay, so hopefully you kind of get it. I'll be back tomorrow, I promise. I'll be here at Flex tomorrow also. Substitute's going to pass out homework. I want you to work at it. And then there's also an exit ticket. So good luck, work hard, and I'll see you tomorrow.